From all of us at Undiscovered Utah, we would like to take this opportunity to wish you a Merry Christmas, and we hope you have a fantastic holiday season. From the towering Wasatch Mountains of the American Southwest, we welcome you to the next episode of Undiscovered Utah. This show focuses on the mysteries that surround the rugged, difficult, and sometimes deadly American Southwest. I'm your host, JB, and tonight we are going to share with you a swell story. San Rafael Swell, that is. Let me tell you something. Utah has many amazing geological features. One of my absolute favorites is the San Rafael Swell. This is such a big area to explore, we will divide it into two separate episodes. What is the San Rafael Swell? The San Rafael Swell is part of the Colorado Plateau in south central Utah. 40 to 60 million years ago, the Earth moved with extreme power and force that pushed a 70-mile by 40-mile section of the Earth's crust up into the air. It created a natural dome of the rock, or swell. I told you that this was going to be a swell story tonight. Anyway, on the eastern flake of the swell, it is very easy to see the prominent uplift. The uplift looks like rows of shark teeth that stretch over 75 miles. These jagged teeth, like fins of rock, are called the San Rafael Reef. A reef is simply an uplift in the Earth's crust that is difficult for humans to cross. The San Rafael Swell is split into two sections by Interstate 70 that runs from east to west. There is a northern section that is north of I-70, and the southern section that, well, you guessed it, is south of I-70. In this episode of Undiscovered Utah, we're going to talk about the northern section of the San Rafael Swell. The first thing you need to know is that most of the locals don't call this area by its full name. They refer to it simply as the Swell, and so will I from now on. In the Swell, you will see huge pinnacles jutting up from the desert floor, massive buttes and mesas, and even pasture lands that support wild horses and antelope. The days are usually very hot and the nights very cold. Because of the radical temperature changes that can occur, the spring and fall are the perfect time to visit the swell. So what is there to do in the northern section of the swell? It would be faster to ask, what can't you do in the northern section of the swell? So let me ask you this. What are you into? Do you like hiking? Check. Off-roading? Check. Sightseeing? Check. Dinosaurs? Check. Native American artifacts? Check. Wild West stories and artifacts? Check. Huge sinkholes? Check. Old mines? Check. The Old Spanish Trail? Check. Ghost towns? Check. Nuclear missile site? Wait, what? There's a nuclear missile site in the swell? Well, no, not exactly, but there is something that is closely related that very few people know about and even less have ever seen. Now, come on, folks. Disney World doesn't have as many check boxes. I will say this, if every person in your family doesn't have a fun time in the swell, well, that's really sad. Let's start off with an absolute must-see. The Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry. Most people know that near Vernal, Utah is the Dinosaur National Monument. At the Dinosaur National Monument, you see real dinosaur fossils and even touch some of them. That's cool. But did you know you can do the same thing at the Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry just west of Price, Utah? The Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry sits center stage in the new Jurassic National Monument. This site contains one of the world's most extensive collections of Jurassic period dinosaur bones. They have found over 12,000 bones so far from over 70 different species, and they are not done excavating. Now, what kid of any age wouldn't want to see that? Dinosaur bones from this site have been unearthed and reassembled and are currently on display at museums all around the world. What kind of dinosaurs has been found at the Cleveland Lloyd Quarry? Mostly Allosauruses. Allosauruses ruled the late Jurassic period. Much like the Utah raptor featured in Jurassic Park movies, they hunted in packs and would drive their prey to kill zones. That is one theory as to why so many bones have been found in this location. The big problem with that theory is that most of the bones are Allosaurus bones. At least 46 Allosauruses died in this one spot. But they are just one of the 70-plus species that died here. Stegosaurus and Torvosaurus bones have also been found here. In 1974, James H. Madsen Jr., a geologist at the University of Utah, discovered the bones of a new species of dinosaur, Storkosaurus. Then 2 years later, in 1976, he discovered another new species, Marsosaurus. Both of these new dino discoveries were meat eaters like the Allosaurus and the Torvosaurus. One thing is for certain, back in the late Jurassic period, this was not a friendly neighborhood. Today there is a nice visitor center with some examples of the dinosaurs found at this location, and you can also visit the dig site and watch paleontologists working and digging for more bones. There are a few self-guided hiking trails within the park boundaries, but keep your eyes open. You might discover the next dig site. If you decide to visit the Jurassic National Monument, it is open daily during the summer, Thursday through Saturday during the spring and fall months, and is closed from the end of October to mid-March. Unpaved BLM roads to the quarry can become impassable after a storm, so check for conditions. You might also want to stop in Price, Utah at the Museum of Natural History. They have some great exhibits displaying some of the dinosaurs found in this area. As amazing as the Cleveland Lloyd Quarry is to visit, there is much more to see and do in the swell. Did you know that Utah has its own Grand Canyon? That's right. Utah's Little Grand Canyon is in the swell. It's called the Wedge, and the Wedge provides some amazing vistas of a very deep canyon cut by the San Rafael River. There are some fantastic mountain biking trails along the rim of this canyon. Camping locations are nearby, but camping along the rim is not allowed. Picnicking, however, is allowed along the rim. If you go with the kids or childish adults, Realize that there are no guardrails, walls, or fences to protect you from falling over the edge of the canyon. And just so you know, if you do fall off the edge, you will most likely die. Hey, this is rugged country, beautiful, but rugged. If you pay attention to the risks, a trip to the edge is well worth it. Chances are, if it's not a holiday weekend, you just might have the place all to yourself. After all, the wedge is still largely undiscovered by most people. The next stop on our visit to the northern section of the swell is the must-see Rochester Rock Art Panel. One of the fascinating things you can find all over the swell is ancient Native American petroglyphs. The Rochester Panel is the largest collection of rock art in the swell. Some of the art looks like it was made by the Fremont culture, and some of it looks like it was left by the older Barrier Canyon culture. This is a fantastic site to visit. Try and interpret the meaning of the messages left at this site by the ancient ones. There is a 1 mile out and back trail that is considered moderate difficulty by the All Trails website. Take plenty of water with you and enjoy this rugged and beautiful area, and imagine what it would have been like to live in this area 600 to 2,000 years ago. The next point of interest is Buckhorn Wash. Buckhorn Wash is my favorite camping area on the northern side of the swell. Camping in the swell is all primitive camping and first come, first serve, but there are lots of cool places to camp both in and out of Buckhorn Wash. When you enter Buckhorn Wash, you become a time traveler. So let's talk about some of the time periods you can visit in Buckhorn Wash. The first stop as we travel back in time is the year 1948. In 1948, it was the Cold War. Nuclear weapons were a major concern during the Cold War, and finding underground safe havens was a major importance to the U.S. government. The Buckhorn Wash area was selected as a possible location to build an underground safe haven. The MK tunnels were built in the sandstone walls of Buckhorn Wash. No, MK Tunnels does not stand for Magic Kingdom Tunnels. Those are in Florida, not Utah. The MK tunnels in the swell were a prototype for an underground city. After the tunnels were built, bombs were exploded above the ground to see how well the tunnels withstood the blast in the event of a nuclear attack. The tunnels were later abandoned, and many were sealed shut. Unless you know where this site is, it is nearly impossible to find this location, as there is no indication that this site ever existed until you reach the site itself. Then there's a small marker that explains the history of the MK tunnels. Also in the swell are many old uranium mines. Don't get these mixed up with the MK tunnels. They are both Cold War relics, but I would stay away from the uranium mines. Now, let's travel a little farther back in time to the days of the Wild West. This canyon was a major route for outlaw gangs on their way to Robber's Roost area. Many outlaws rode their horses fast and furious down this windy wash. Natural caves in Buckhorn Wash offered great hiding places for these outlaws, and it is possible that they may have even left some of their heavy caches of loot behind, buried along the way. One such outlaw by the name of Matt Warner left his name in the canyon as a warning that this was his country. Matt Warner was a member of the Wild Bunch and rode with the likes of Butch Cassidy. Later in life, he became a lawman. Who better to catch cattle rustlers and robbers than a cattle rustler and robber? It is said that Matt Warner ran his cattle in this canyon and wanted any would-be cattle rustlers to know who they would have to deal with if they took his cattle. Keep an eye out and see if you can see his mark in the canyon. It is right along the road, but very few know the history and the reason for the mark in the canyon wall. If you can't find it, keep looking in areas that you would leave your name as a warning to others. Look for a place that cattle rustlers would for sure see your name. Now let's go a little further down the canyon and a little further back in time. Let's go back 600 to 2,000 years ago. There are two rock art panels in Buckhorn Wash. One is from the Fremont culture and one is from the Barrier Canyon style. To reach the Fremont panel, there is a small sign about halfway down the canyon indicating a petroglyph site and a trail off the main road. You have to walk through the wash and then up a short but steep section to reach the panels. You cannot see them from the road because they are behind some very large rocks. These petroglyphs resemble the ones that you will see in 9 Mile Canyon if you visit that location. The more well-known panel in the canyon is the large Buckhorn panel. This panel is of the Barrier Canyon style and has been restored after years of vandalism. Many ignorant people vandalized this site over many, many years. The restoration work has been simply amazing. Today, it is difficult to tell these were ever vandalized, but they were vandalized, and we are very lucky that they were saved. Don't vandalize the rock art sites. This panel is largely pictographs instead of petroglyphs, meaning they were painted on the walls instead of etched into the rock walls. This panel is a real treat to see and is right off the road. You can't miss it. When you're ready to continue, jump back in your time machine, or car as the case may be, and let's travel even further back in time, to a time the giants roamed the earth, the time of the dinosaurs. In Buckhorn Wash, there is a very special, very well-preserved dinosaur footprint that is an easy hike for the family to see. This is a great stop if you visited the Cleveland Lloyd Quarry earlier in your visit. You can search the internet to find the trail to this rare artifact left millions of years ago. Many visitors will pour a little water into the footprint to make it easier to see, and that's okay. Water is natural. Look for rock cairns near the footprint. This will help identify its location. All of these great sites are located within a 10-mile long canyon that is called Buckhorn Wash. Now do you see why I love the swell? The next great spot to explore is known as the Locomotive. The Locomotive is a sandstone outcropping near I-70. The outcropping has a hidden small arch that is great for a photo op. It is called Dutchman's Arch. It also has a very famous Barrier Canyon style rock art panel called the Head of Sinbad. There is a very sandy road that leads you to the Locomotive, the Head of Sinbad, and the Dutchman Arch. 4-wheel drive is highly recommended, but I have seen minivans make it to the site, but I would not attempt it. This place has a very special spirit about it. It feels almost sacred. I can't tell you why, but to me, it's a special place. You need to add it to your itinerary. There are many other points of interest on the north side of the swell. like the Black Dragon, the Sandstone Alps, the Mexican Mountain, the Devil's Racetrack, Coal Wash, and the Sinkhole, to name a few. Do some of your own research and you will find what tickles your fancy. There is something for everyone in the swell. Most of this land is run by the BLM, and so camping is free in most spots. But there are no facilities. You haul it in, you haul it back out. The swell is gaining in popularity, but compared to other areas in Utah, you can still find solitude here. Come prepared. There are no services in the swell, and it is usually a long drive to anywhere. If you become stranded in the swell, you might be there a while before you are found. And in most of the swell, there is no cell phone coverage. Make sure you bring plenty of water, food, sunscreen, a flashlight, and a blanket to keep you warm. Next week, we will talk about the southern side of the swell. You don't want to miss that episode. If you would like more information about the San Rafael Swell or any of our other podcasts, you can email me at info@undiscoveredutah.com. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Undiscovered Utah. Join me next week as we share more about the Great Southwest. Good night, everybody.